Right now, I'd like to introduce Karen Ward, who's an artist and activist, a poet and historian, and a person who uses drugs, who has lived in the downtown east side for the past 10 years. Karen has an MA in history and has been active with the Carnegie Action Project, the Heart of the City Festival, the Gallery Gachet, and describes herself, and I hope I get this right, as someone who works to give voice to those who are more silent in our world. So you're welcome to stand here or there.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very incredibly honored today. I've been asked by Dawn to come and speak briefly tonight about what we're all talking about, we're trying so hard to talk about. And how we talk about what's happening matters so much. The words we use, the words we struggle to find, the words that get caught on the edges of our minds and ideas, the words that are never enough, and the words that we use to break the silence. Words like bloodbath and massacre and slaughter have become commonplace. But in the downtown east side, we talk a lot. And we struggle through it. Part of the problem is that no one's ever really. It's so rare to be really listened to. I remember I asked somebody. I said, we were talking about something. And someone said, "Well," I said, "What do you think?" And we were just stunned. And I was like, I don't remember when I was last asked what I thought. And we talk about what people talk about is genocide. We've lost count. We can't count the number of people that have been lost, the number of times someone's been brought back, the number of friends, neighbors, family, the different ways you talk about the people you care about. And it's true, and it's so distressing when you look in the paper or you hear from people, we just need more data. No, we really don't need any more data. We don't need, we look at these representations and these numbers, and the numbers numb at this point. The numbers numb, and they're just representations of so many lives, abstracted and less raw, less real somehow. And feel we that remain on the battlefield, shell-shocked and all. You struggle, really. You're struggling for solid ground. And you're wondering what's happening because you thought the world ended. But everybody else is still getting up and going to work. That their dope is legal. And in the downtown east side, people talk about overdose, but for months and months, people have been talking about poisoning and cast about looking for someone to blame, something to blame, something happened, what's happening, who's responsible. Everyone is responsible, we're all responsible, I'm responsible, you are too, all of us are. Because this is about choices. This isn't a wildfire, and this isn't a hurricane, and this isn't falling from the sky. It's the result of choices that have been made for over 100 years. Choices that we've accepted as normal, and choices that have led to this. Choices that have led to a situation where people are too scared to go to work Monday morning because they're scared of how many pieces of paper are going to be stuffed under the mailbox about who dies Saturday night. And we talk about harm reduction, but we've got to think, very carefully about what we're saying when these words trip off the tongue so casually because we say them so much, and we need to think about what that means, harm reduction. We actually need to stop harm. We need to stop harming each other with everything we do and the choices we make and the way we live. That's what this is about. That's why the people who are considered the weakest, who I constantly emphasize are actually so incredibly strong. The people who are spoken of as the weakest and the vulnerable and the marginalized, who are so strong. We need to stop harming that with every choice we make, and the ways we live, and the way we decided that any way that these folks, that I try to break that marginal, vulnerable weakness is itself criminal, disordered, judged, and isolated. Harm needs to stop being the dominant policy because it's literally killing us. We talk sometimes as well in the downtown east side. The idea is that this mass poisoning is actually accelerated displacement. It's taking too long to get people out. This is a expression of the drug, the poison is an expression of the relentless push out. The downtown east side has become, for many of us, myself, I didn't know until I moved to the downtown east side. I didn't know what home meant, that there was a place you could feel safe, know your neighbors, be okay, be yourself. I had no idea that that was what that meant. For so many people, it's a place in this country, Canada, when you've been kicked out of everywhere else, when you've been shoved aside anywhere else, when you're not okay anywhere else, there's that last little place that's getting smaller and smaller, where it's all right to be that, to be who you are, to be that way. You'll have someone to talk to, no matter how bad it is. And now this is happening. Do they hate us that much? And do they hate us that much where people are in such pain that even the strongest painkillers imagined have to be reinvented? And then these people, so wounded and lost and abandoned and discarded, need to be pushed out further. And then this is the emergency. And we're told, and we say, we need to say, don't use alone. Come inside. Here's a tent. Do please come inside. We have naloxone. We have ways to help. This is an emergency. These are emergency measures. And that's exactly the point, because people are that alone. And that's the catastrophe, that things have fallen apart so much that we're in this situation. And yes, this is about health in the broadest possible sense, but it's about the health of all of us. Because in that sense, it is about justice. It's about basic justice, access to the ability to live a human life. And that's what I've learned from the downtown east side, through Vandu, through Don, and through the learning to dare to think through that silence. And I've learned that from drugs too. And if not this, I just ask, if not this, the massive willed slaughter of hundreds of hurt people, then what will it take? What? And if not here on these stolen lands, this last place, this terminal city, then where? Because this is about choices, and we need to make different ones. And if not now, when? Thanks.